never know what to say when I'm waiting for people to turn up. There was some joke made about that online. Everyone says, we're just waiting for people to turn up. I'm talking to myself, so what's the point? Anyway, just waiting for people to turn up. Hello. I was just talking to myself. You're all alone for the first few seconds when you start doing a live. It's always kind of awkward. Yeah, I was just talking to myself. Okay, we're just waiting for everyone. Oh, shoot, just a sec here. Sorry, I just got a message from my daughter. We work together, so. Okay, I'm just doing a live. Okay, just answering my daughter. Okay, ooh, really slow. What time is it? Saturday night, 5 o'clock? Yeah, we'll see how many people I get. It's supposed to snow here today. Sometimes Vancouver doesn't get any snow. I'm in Vancouver, Canada, but we're supposed to get snow over the next couple of days. And we all freak out when it snows because no one can drive in it in Vancouver because we don't get that much of it. So, okay. Just waiting for everyone to turn up. Am I on Facebook? Am I on? Yeah, okay. I wasn't sure where I was. Sometimes I mess it up and I start with the wrong one. Anyway, just waiting for people to turn up. Okay, I just had a real slow start. There was some joke on TikTok or something, and they were showing all these different people starting their lives, and we all say the exact same thing. Oh, just waiting for people to turn up. What are you supposed to say? No one's there. So it's funny. Okay, so I'll just get going. There's only a few people here. I've only got like 10 people. Usually by the time I finished a live, there's a couple thousand that have turned up, because people come and go. But yeah, Facebook is the slowest start of the 3 social media platforms. And I'm also on YouTube, which is a search engine. It's different. I'm also on YouTube, and that's where I save all of my lives. That's also where all of our podcasts are. If you want to see them like on video, they're all on YouTube. My daughter and I do them together. Jennifer from Kentucky. Hello, Jennifer. Jen Co. Yeah, I'm here in Vancouver, Canada. We're just expecting snow over the next couple of days. So my car is useless in the snow. It's basically like being on ice skates. So yeah, I won't be coming out until the snow's all gone once we get some. So, but we often don't get snow. And when we do here in Vancouver, we freak out because we're no good at driving in it. How do I know when you'll be doing a live? I never know when I'll be doing a live. I don't schedule them anymore. My schedule's gotten really crazy. And yeah, I don't schedule them anymore. What happens is because I can have like a lot of clients all day and I'm talking a lot. And then if I try and do a live that night, it depends on how my voice is. So it was becoming too difficult to schedule a live. And I don't want to ruin my voice for coaching. So because coaching always takes precedence over everything. So that's why I'm not scheduling lives anymore. Okay, I keep hearing you talk about being a leader for parents. So how do we become leaders? Just keep watching. Look at the pool story. It's called Example of Leadership Parenting. If you go on, I think any of my platforms and just look up pool story, it'll come up. So if you go on YouTube and you type in BratBusters pool story, it'll turn up. It explains it. You deal with bad behavior, then get it done. It's over with. No emotions, just like a business transaction. Keep it really short. And don't explain everything and go on about it. And then you focus on the good kid. As soon as they've calmed down, then you focus on connecting with them and bonding with them, having fun with them. So yeah, it's your connection, which is the leadership's more about your connection. Plus, I don't take any crap, but I get real boring real fast if kids act out. So yeah, there's no fun Lisa or fun mom if they're acting out. But then anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves here. You can check out the free behavior board if you want. That's on the link above or BratBusters.com. Be careful with that because, I've got a pretty big following now, and there's some imposters out there taking money from parents pretending to be me. So just be careful. This is me. I'm here right now. And if you check out the link above, yeah. The reason why we don't get blue ticks, we looked into it. I think you pay for that. and it's evidently not worth it. So we never get that done. But this is me. I am BratBusters. And I invented all this. So if anyone else is saying that it's their method, I invented everything I teach. That, the whole system is all mine. So yeah, just be careful. Do you have potty training advice for beginners? Yeah, it's a whole procedure, a whole method. It's in my course, both of my courses, actually, if you want to check that out. But basically, it's an incentive reward program. There's no discipline around that. There's no negativity. It's not bad behavior if they don't go use the potty. So it's all incentive based. They get a reward every time they sit on the toilet, every time they pee, every time they poo. So yeah, check that out if you're interested. You do have to buy the course to get that. How to get your 5-year-old to listen to you. If you've got a 5-year-old who isn't listening to you, that's just a tell. Because they're just a product of your parenting at that age. So if they're not listening to you, you haven't earned their respect. That's all it is. I don't fix kids here. They're just reacting to you. I fix and teach parents. I teach you how to get respect. So check out my free behavior board or one of my courses. Listen to the podcast. You'll start to get it. Oh, I forgot to mention this to my daughter. Just a sec. Something's been coming up lately. I'll just get into that in a second. Fun stuff. Because when I'm doing a live, like I am now, I'm kind of just responding to your questions. So, which is mostly about discipline, but that's not what I'm all about. I'm more about how you connect with kids. Your fun, their love language is fun, okay? Your fun personality, that playing with them in their world, that is leadership. But I don't take any crap either. You're going to deal with bad behavior. It's all explained in the behavior board. There's a toddler section in there too. If it's under the age of 3, you can't use the behavior board. You use consistent corrective actions with toddlers. But 3+, you use the behavior board. Okay, but it's all about connecting with kids more than anything else. So, but yeah, it's just I'm always answering discipline questions, which fascinates me. That really the question should be, how do I connect with my kids? Because once you're connected, then the discipline gets easier. But everyone wants to start with the discipline. Whereas I'd always rather try and pull out the good in a kid rather than push away the bad. Does that make any sense? I put my energy and my focus on what I want, not what I don't want. So I don't let anything go. I deal with bad behavior, but it's fast. It's over with very quickly. There's no shaming, no blaming, no discussing it. When do you discuss bad behavior? Never. What's the point? I'll never understand that. Discussing all this bad behavior, explaining everything, they already get it. You say, no, that was bad. Here's your consequence. Now, do you want to go for a walk in the park? It's like that. It's that the bad behavior should not be the focus, but everyone focuses on it. Everyone wants to focus on the bad behavior. I get it. That's what's driving you nuts. But if you were focusing more on being fun and having fun with your kids, you wouldn't have as much bad behavior. Oh, good. Okay. Oh, you got grandkids. It's Deb. Oh, I recognize that name. Deborah Sweeney Young. Deb from, although I don't know what MTL means. What's MTL? Montana? And you just put an L there? I don't know. Sorry. I've been applying your tips and I'm a much better leader and see a change in my grandkids that I'm raising. I've learned a lot about myself. Oh, right. Okay. So you are raising. I don't teach grandparenting or teaching or any of that. I don't know anything about that. Well, I do know how to be a grandmother, but that's not what I teach. I teach parenting. But if you're raising your grandkids, you are the parent, right? So someone said toddlers are crazy. Yep. It's not so much that they're crazy. They just haven't developed sanity yet. They're not there yet. I'll read out my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. They're at that discovery age. They're just forming. Okay, these are my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Number 1, childproof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2, set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3, when you want to connect with a toddler, you do so in their world. You don't take them to the nail salon with you. You go to the park and roll down the hill. They start to look at you differently when you get good at this. Number 4, when you want to discipline a toddler, this is under the age of 3, you do so in their world. They're not about words. They're about actions. They are not listening to you. They pretend to. They'll even repeat what you've just said. They'll even say, sorry, I won't do it again. Then they go right back and do it, right? That's a toddler. because words mean nothing to them. Okay, so use consistent corrective actions. Now, number 5 is stop trying to figure them out. Toddlers are not figure-outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They're just forming. Imagine just having one marble and some tumbleweed floating around up there. They're just brand new. Yeah, I get a lot of parents who say to me, oh, I can't believe it. He said he was sorry, and because I told him it hurts my feelings. He doesn't give a crap. Hurts your feelings. They don't have empathy when they're 2. They haven't formed that yet. They may look upset only because you're upset. Your upsetness is what's upsetting them. There's no empathy in there. They just haven't developed it. They're about 3 years and 9 months when they start to develop empathy, or they have the ability to start to develop empathy. In other words, they understand that they're not the only people in the world. It's just the way it is. Forgot what I was going on about. Never mind. Oh, no, I know. Parents will say to me, well, he said he was sorry, never do it again. And then he turned around and did it again. And I'm like, yeah, so what's your question? He's not listening. They are not listening to you. They're not. Did you know that our personalities are formed in the first 7 years, and it's all done through observation? A little bit of listening, but not much. It's observation. They're watching. The first 7 years, they're watching. Words can start to mean a bit more at 3, but you still don't have all these mini therapy sessions discussing all their big feelings and big emotions. It's absolute garbage with toddlers. Garbage. It's crap. Drives me nuts. So much time's wasted on all that mini therapy session crap. Get down on the ground and play with them. There you go. Their love language is play, not therapy. Okay, and you have to put the age down if you ask a question. And you have to put the whole question plus an age, because I won't connect the dots on who asked what question. Okay, this is something I came up with a few weeks ago. And usually when I'm coaching someone, I'll come up with something and they'll go, oh my God, now I get it. That's the turning point, right? I'll just say one sentence and they go, oh, I get it. Oh, it all makes sense. So I'll say the exact same thing to the next client and they're like this. Means nothing to them. So everyone resonates with something different. It's just the way it is. But one thing that a lot of people resonate with is this one thing I came up with a couple of weeks ago, because I was saying, if you're calm and loving, discipline is love, by the way. If you're calm and loving, eventually they'll stop fighting you. Because here's my sentence that evidently a few parents like: you can't fight with a calm, loving person forever. It's kind of impossible. They'll just give in eventually. Calm, loving person. Part of that is discipline, yes. And when you are playing with them, by the way, that you don't have to be calm, you can be crazy. But a calm, loving person, when things are not going very well, be calm and loving. Discipline is love. I've worked with a lot of teenagers, and they've all said to me, I wish my parents had been tougher on me growing up, in different ways. One of them even said, one of these troubled teens I worked with said to me, my parents didn't love me enough to make me a good person. Wow. Wow, talk about profound, eh? One thing I disagree with, I'm teaching her how to understand her emotions right now, but not discussing the reason behind it because she probably doesn't understand. Why are you discussing it? Just say, yeah, you're angry. That's okay. Do you want to go play? Everyone gets mad. That's it. That's it. With a toddler especially, what's the point? I don't get that. That's for you, by the way. It's not for her. It's for you. Yeah, they're not listening. Okay. You mentioned, this is from Name on YouTube. Hi, Name. Cute name. What's your name? Name. Okay. You mentioned, I think that's funny. I crack myself up sometimes. Just a minute, I'm going to giggle. I felt that coming on. It's like a sneeze. Okay. Let me see. You mentioned self-esteem is built by connecting and playtime. So it's not built by accomplishing things and doing well. No. No, it's not. Do you want me to go on about it? It's okay. It's part of it. That's more, yeah, it's part of it. But that's not what builds self-esteem. If no one ever enjoys your company and you're not connected with your parents, you're going to have very low self-esteem no matter what you're accomplishing. A whole bunch of people in this world have accomplished great things and they still have very low self-esteem. It's connection that builds self-esteem. The other stuff is a great bonus. It's like the icing on the cake. But without the cake, there's no icing. Get what I'm saying? It's the connection with other people. That's what builds self-esteem. Are you worthy of being enjoyed? Fun is their love language. So yeah. Someone said, wow, thank you. Were you saying wow because of my name joke or the comment? I thought that was really funny. Kind of sad, aren't I? Okay, your hair. Oh, yeah, I'm going to talk about myself. I'm 64 years old. Believe me, I had my day in the sun. I'm quite okay with being an older woman. Actually, I love it. I would say in my 60s, it's so far probably one of my best decades. No, my best time of my whole life was raising my kids. But other than that, yeah, I like being in my 60s. Okay. Okay, my newborn, this is Tabitha. Oh, hi, Tabitha. My newborn is 3 weeks old and my toddler is almost 20 months. It's hard, but you saved me from a much harder time. Thanks so much for you're awesome. You make parenting fun and less stress. Oh, good. I love hearing that. And you're very welcome, Tabitha, but you make parenting more fun. That's really what I want for you. It's okay that you raise nice kids. That's a byproduct. But my main goal is that you have fun. I want you to have fun raising your kids like I did. It was the most fun I ever had. It was just a blast. I got all that pesky discipline sorted out by the time they were about 3. And then it was just fun. Like I just could relax. So yeah, but I worked for that. I earned that. I earned that leadership role. I worked really hard for that. No, because of your answer alone. It's never my joke. I got the corniest sense of humor. I can be quite funny at times, but I've only got 2 really funny things in me a year. I think I already used them up in January, so I'm messed up for the rest of the year. Okay. Okay, good point. Really good point. And it was one I was going to make, but it was too many things I can talk about, and I try not to go on too much in these lives. In the podcast, I ramble on a lot more because people say they like that. If a child is being annoying while you play with them, should you correct the annoying behavior or just focus on having fun? Oh, I don't put up with anything annoying. If they get all silly, I'll tell you what, you're getting a little bit crazy right now. Let's just try again later or tomorrow. I don't say stop it and we'll continue. I don't do that. I say, let's try again later. You want them to sweat a bit. You don't want to just say stop it and then start again. I like them to pay a little bit of a price for that. But no anger. Just say, you're getting a little bit worked up here. We'll just try again later. Don't say calm down and we'll continue. That's weak. It's weak. I wouldn't do that. No, we'll try again later. Like I used to, every day I did the laundry. And while I was sorting all the laundry, I would put all my underpants on my head, like the leg holes were my eye holes. And the kids would start running and screaming. And because as soon as I was done sorting, I had a head full of underpants and I was the panty monster. I'd chase the kids around the house. Just had a blast. But if they had ever done anything that I didn't like, you know what I mean? If they got too silly or ridiculous, I would have said, we'll try again tomorrow. And off would have come those underpants like that. No anger. We'll try again tomorrow. They would have understood. So yeah, they knew me. But anyway. So yeah, I'm only crazy and playing with kids when they're good. I don't continue the play if they act out. It ends like that. Oh, we'll try again next time. We'll try again later, okay? Sorry, I didn't mean it. That's okay. We'll try again later. That's how I get real quiet when I'm disciplining. Very calm, very quiet. If they don't hear me, that's their problem, not mine. Thank you. That's very good to know. Yeah, I should say that more often. I'm talking more about having fun with kids because that really was my superpower. When I was working with kids and teenagers, I was fun with younger kids and I was funny with teenagers. That was always my superpower, was they liked being with me. I was fun. I was jovial. I was cheery. They liked that. But boy, if they ever stepped a toe out of line, I'd say, ooh, I'll tell you what, I'm just going to go real quiet for about 30 seconds here. No anger. And then I just go, sorry, Lisa. It's okay. 20 more seconds. They didn't like that because they looked up to me. They liked fun, Lisa. So that's how I disciplined kids when I was working with them. Okay. That's different with parenting, you know. But you get the idea. Fun is really important to kids. It's important to me too. I have a lot of that in me. So I know how important it is to be fun and goofy, like with kids, because that's my personality. I was always the goofiest one in the whole family. It's just my nature. And I think that's why I relate to kids so well. I get it. I like goofy, silly stuff. I like running around the house with underpants on my head. I can't wait till my granddaughter's old enough to appreciate that. I get to do it all over again with her. How do you manage a full-time job, connecting and playing with your child while also keeping up with the dinner, house, and chores? Well, you're asking me about time management. You're just going to have to find time with your kids. I've actually had talked to some parents who said, we have no time, we work full-time, we have nannies. How do we connect with our kids? Well, I don't even know how to answer that. You have literally no time. The nannies feed them, put them to bed. You're working. How do you connect? You need time to connect. You're going to have to etch out some time. Maybe get them their own little cooking station in the kitchen. So while you're cooking, they have a little board and some plastic knives or something safe, and they're chopping up vegetables and you're chatting while you're doing what you need to do. One of the things I did with my kids was I would just, trying to think, I got so many, I talk about the same thing all the time. I'm trying to come up with different things I used to do. I would, well, I'll just use the same example. I would say to them, look, mom's got to make dinner now, so scram, go in the family room. But I'll tell you what, for the next 30, or while I'm making dinner, I'm only allowed to skip. If you catch me not skipping, I'm going to get you a treat after dinner, something like that. And they'd be watching me like a hawk, good as gold, watching me like a hawk. And I'd skip from the sink to the stove, from the stove to the pantry, skip over to the fridge. And then, of course, I'd mess up on purpose, so they got a treat later. But just, you can always add fun, be fun and goofy, be entertaining, enjoy your kids. They pick up on that. They really do. If they feel enjoyed, they're much more likely to be enjoyable. You're bringing that out in them. You're accentuating the stuff that you want. That's why where you put your focus, where you put your energy is what grows. That's why I focus so hard on playing with kids. When I was working with them, when I was raising them, I play hard. I really do. And even when I'm doing something that needs to get done, I still often would incorporate something like the skipping. If you catch me not skipping, or I'm only allowed to hop on one foot. I remember once I was supposed to be hopping or something, and I hopped from I was supposed to just hop, and I went to the bathroom, came out, and I skipped. I forgot I was supposed to be hopping. You skipped, you forgot to hop. Darn it, and then they caught me again. So yeah, find moments. You don't have to carve out a half hour a night. You know, you can just find moments in every day doing the laundry and that. Like the panty monster, right? If you're just tuning in, I won't repeat what the panty monster is. You've probably heard it before anyway. Do you have any advice for keeping a 12-year-old boy on top of his chores without nagging him all the time? Are the chores fair and reasonable for one thing, or are they too much? That could be one of them. And then just say, if you don't do your chores, there'll be a consequence, period. Check out the free behavior board. It shows you how to do that. So yeah, we all learn through consequences. I don't repeat myself. Like I just say, well, here's your chores and here's bedtime, and you do your homework. If I have to remind them to do any of that stuff, it hasn't been done. I like kids to be self-disciplining. That is part of their pride, right? Give them something to be proud of. Not just, no one likes to be told what to do. We all hate it. And yet so many parents do it, but their kids don't like it. So that's why I didn't do it. They knew what they needed to do. They understood from a really young age, you got to do what you need to do before you can do what you want to do. But I worked on that. I earned that. I put the time in. I was just telling another parent. I've told this story before. It's one of my favorites. I always get permission to tell these stories. An absolute dilly of a story. Darn, I'm not talking to that parent for another couple more weeks. I forgot to ask permission. God, it was such a good one. Anyway, I forgot to, I meant to ask, can I tell this story? I never use names, of course, but one of my favorite stories was this client I had, really nice couple. And I was going to say cute young couple. You're all cute and young to me now because I'm old. Anyway, and when I first started my business, I specialized in teen crisis work. So a lot of my clients, like 18 years ago, were older than me. So I always kind of felt like, another thing you have to do. Because I was younger than them. Now I'm older than all of you. So it kind of gives me a bit of an edge because I feel like I'm mothering you all. But anyway, this was so cute. This couple hired me and they said, our daughter's very intelligent. Because she was an only child. So she fit right in. It was always adults. I was like that too. I was almost more comfortable around adults and talking to adults because I was the youngest by far. My brother was like a teenager when I was born. So we never grew up together really. So, but I was very comfortable around adults. Anyway, they said, well, she's very mature for her age and she's very smart and all that. And I'm, oh, okay. And I just forgot about it. So I think it was the next session, they said, you know what she did? Then I thought, yeah, she is pretty clever. You know what she did? They had the behavior board up on the wall, and I was that lady that they were working with, right? That she knew about me. So she said, she was near the behavior board and she said to her parents, you guys are wonderful parents. You don't need that lady. And she took the behavior board down. And they said, yes, we do. And they put it back up. She buttered up her parents to get rid of me. That was the first time I've ever heard that. She was just 8 years old. I thought that was pretty clever. How to address 3-year-old throwing things. I take the object away, but she will just find something else to throw. You might just want to restrain her for a minute. Say no throwing and hang on to her. Or just take away whatever she's throwing. It's not going to happen the first time. Everyone says, what do I do right in the moment? She's probably going to keep throwing stuff because she doesn't respect you yet. You got to work on that respect and she won't throw anything. Work on, that's it. There again, you got to be a leader and there's no sass. They don't do anything. It's just easy. Okay. That's cute, making parenting fun. Actually, one of my clients yesterday, I thought, what a great idea, because we were going on and on about how, because she said it's kind of hard to be fun. You know, a lot of parents struggle with that with kids. I'm very immature in a lot of ways, so it's easy for me. But anyway, I'm very childlike. So, but we went on and on. I had all these crazy ideas. She goes, you should do a whole podcast on just crazy stuff that you did with your kids. Some of it, I only usually talk about a lot of this in coaching. It is so embarrassing. Now, one of them is really embarrassing. The panty monster is not embarrassing compared to some of them. But yeah, and she said, you got to tell this stuff because I think that you get the idea that what I'm all about is discipline. I'm not at all. I'm all about connecting with kids, having fun with them, being a source of fun, making them feel good about themselves. So they're going to look up to you. They're not going to be naughty or they're not going to disrespect you when they look up to you. It just doesn't happen. So, and fun is a superpower with kids. They love having fun. That's their love language, is fun. We don't do screen time, really. Yeah, that's okay. There's always something to take away. Could you tell? Oh, good question. And I can see why people would disagree with me or not understand why I don't do this, but I get it. Could you talk more in detail about why you don't reward good behavior? This is Miriam on YouTube. The reason I never reward good behavior is because I just expect that my baseline. It would be like having a reward chart. I think it's a disaster to have a reward chart in a home. At school, it's different. School has nothing to do with parenting. It's completely different. That's a business. Parenting is home and it's personal. Never have a reward chart up for a child. You know what you're saying to them? You're normally rotten. If you should happen to be good, you'll get a reward. See the message you're sending? Imagine if your husband or wife had a reward chart for you. If you're good, I'll give you a gold star because you're normally rotten is what you're saying. You see, my baseline is good behavior. And then I act surprised and hand out a discipline when they're not. A behavior board says you're normally great, but if you should happen to be bad, I know how to handle it. We'll fix that up. See the difference? Could you imagine if your husband said to you, you've been really a good girl all day today. I'm going to go and get you a chocolate bar. Well, what the hell was I yesterday? Like, what would that bring out in you? Kids just can't articulate that. I'm their voice, by the way. They seem excited by it, but you're sending them the wrong message. Then they think every time they do anything good that they should get a reward, as if that's spectacular, as if being polite is spectacular. How ridiculous is that? That's just my baseline. My son was in grade 2 and his teacher said to him, why are you so nice? And he looked up at her as if he had no choice. He said, Mommy makes us be nice. You're darn right. That's my job. That's just my baseline. Okay, what do you do for behaviors that aren't yet on the behavior board? I think that covers it. I think it's mentioned in there, but maybe not. In the course it is. All the other stuff, we're not dealing with that. The behavior board is like I would never use a behavior board. It's just a teaching tool. You're only learning with one rule at a time. Never apply those consequences to anything else in the house. Do whatever you were doing before. Mess everything else up. I don't care. Your new leadership skill is only learned one behavior board at a time. And yet, then you end up with 3. And in the course in week 4, we go off the behavior boards. But yeah, it's a teaching tool. It's like if you're learning how to fly a plane, you go in, you learn 3 dials in the first week. You wouldn't say, well, how do I fly the plane? You've only learned 3 dials. You're only learning 1 behavior board in week 1. See what I'm saying? That you're not learning, we're not discussing how you fly the plane yet. We're just so you understand the controls. It's like that. We're training you how to do this. That's all it is. The first year, I started my business in 2007. And the first year that I was in business, I specialized in teen crisis work. And I couldn't quite communicate to the parents why you need to be accountable. They weren't quite getting it, which I understand. I wasn't effectively communicating that because a good teacher effectively communicates, right? So I thought, what am I missing? I always blame myself. If I'm leading, it's me. And I thought, what am I missing here? Why aren't they getting this? What am I doing wrong? So I invented the behavior board and put the parents on it. You get punished too if you break a rule. Changes everything. Leaders are accountable. You're showing them how this is done. Changed everything in my business. I haven't changed that behavior board in 17 years. It was called the 3-step parenting plan initially. That's why there's a 3rd step. It's called family motto. I don't really talk about that, but it's just there as a reminder. Hey, treat each other with respect and blah, blah, blah. No one cares about that anyway. It's about the rules and the consequences. Everybody past the age of 3 is on there. Or everybody 3 and above is on there. We were doing the rewards for good behavior, and it's been so difficult. I'm doing that, making progress. Yeah, just get rid of it. Just say we talked to this lady or we saw this lady. She teaches parenting. She said and I would punish myself for that. Say, we weren't supposed to do that reward chart. So because we're starting fresh now, we're just going to have a behavior board. We're on it too. Okay, we're going to have a behavior board. But because we're changing all this around, we're going to take you out to the arcade and you can get $20 each and play or something. So make a fresh start. Okay, so make amends. We found out we were doing that wrong. Just own it. Own it. And a fresh start. If you're not accountable and if you're not vulnerable and accountable with your kids, you're missing out. You want to make mistakes and show them how to make amends, how to be responsible for your mistakes. There's no shame in making mistakes. There's just a shame in not being responsible and accountable for them. But everyone makes mistakes. Too many parents think that leadership is about setting yourself up as knowing everything. You're just a boring, annoying know-it-all. Who wants that? I was very I was always messing up with my kids. No problem, but I was a leader. There's a difference. Leaders are vulnerable. We're human. We make mistakes just like everybody. We make mistakes. That's part of it. It's part of life. Life's messy. You're going to make mistakes. That's why you should never act disappointed in your kids. I remember parents say, well, I just make sure they know I'm disappointed in them. And I go, oh God, stop doing that. That's mean. I'm so disappointed in you. How mean. Don't do that. Just say you messed up. Here's your consequence. Oh, you're not going to do it? Okay, so I'm going to go to the next consequence. 24-hour media blackout. All done. Then as soon as they calm down, do you want to play a game? It's like that. Done. There's no shaming or blaming or discussing it. When do you discuss bad behavior? Never. What's the point? It's just mean. Okay, I'm going to move on to Instagram now if you want to join me over there. We just hit 600,000 on Instagram today. It's not our biggest platform, but it's catching up to TikTok. So which TikTok's, I think, 800. Anyway, so yeah, we're really thrilled about that. That's a big number, 600,000. So anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I'm hopping over to Instagram. I'm on YouTube the whole time. Check out BratBusters.com or the link above. You can see my free behavior board, my courses, coaching, or you can look at the podcast. And my daughter and I do it together because we're partners in crime in this family business. Happy parenting. Bye now. Partners in crime. What a dope. Okay. Don't know why I said that. Okay, I'm on Instagram now. Instagram's fast, so I won't take much of a break waiting for that. I have to go to dinner. Oh, okay. Have a nice dinner, Tabitha. Nice to see you again. Tabitha's a regular. I feel like I know so many of you. And by the way, when I get a lot of clients who turn up, and generally, if they're regulars, that's fine. But if they're not regulars, oftentimes I'll get new clients who turn up, and I'll never say hi to you on a live. Why would I not do that? Because people might think, oh, how do you know her? Is she a client? It's your anonymity is what I'm concerned with. But if it's a regular even if you are a client and you're a regular on a live, I will say hi to you. But yeah, because sometimes a new client will say, I said hi to you, and you didn't even say hi back. And I said, well, that's because I didn't want people to know that you've hired me. So anyway, just putting that out there in case you've hired me, and now you know why I don't say hi. Okay, so welcome to the live. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach, a mom, and a grandmother. See, I got proof of that because I got a cat that says so. Anyway, check out my website or the link above, BratBusters.com. You can see my free behavior board, my courses, my coaching, and you can look into our podcast. My daughter and I do that together. The other day, I don't know which day it was, but the one where I made a fool out of myself did come out, and she left it in. If you've seen that one, I hope you got a giggle out of it. I made such a fool out of myself. I told her, don't edit that out because I like looking stupid sometimes. We all do dumb stuff. Okay. Oregon. Hi, Matthew. Okay. Oh, by the way, we just hit 600,000 followers here on Instagram. I went on Instagram about a year and 4 months ago. And on TikTok, I hit 600,000 in 6 months. And then it slowed down because you get all the original people and then other people come in. But holy crap, I'm absolutely stunned. I'm 64. I'm just sitting here talking about kids and parenting and just can't believe people are actually interested. But anyway, not that I don't have a lot of confidence in what I teach, but I just can't believe those numbers are mind-boggling to me. Okay, there's no overnight success to my business. I've been doing it for 18 years, but I really got hardcore into social media in the last 2 years. So that's the difference. How would you suggest handling video game screen time with 12-year-old, especially with boys? They tend to get addicted. I've studied this. I kind of get it all. I think I'm a dopamine addict too. I have a really hard time not watching YouTube. Now I'm addicted to TikTok. So yeah, I get it. It's a problem, but I'm 64. I can do whatever I want. Anyway, so what I would do is just say, look, we want to limit all of our screen time. So you have to have this too, by the way. So say, how many hours a week do you think it's fair that you have it? And then we get more because we're older and we pay for it. So, we get more. When you're older, you can have as much as you want, but we're going to do it with you. So, or you don't have to, but you can I would set it up that way. So I'd say, how many hours a week do you think is fair for your screen time? That means all screens. So go back and forth, negotiate, and then have a chart up and you keep track of the hours. And if it goes over, then you just take it away from the next week. And see how that goes. But give him something else to do. Like say, hey, we can play games the rest of the time. He's going to go, yeah, yippee. But, give him something else to do. Try and replace it with something else. Maybe something athletic. You go out and shoot hoops or something with them. It's kind of hard to just take something away from someone without replacing it with something else. Okay, you look young. Yeah, I'm 64 years old young. I love being 64 and I love looking 64. I don't know why. My 50s I didn't like as much for some reason. I was menopausal. Plus I gained a lot of weight. In my 60s all the weight fell off in my late 50s and I'm comfortable now. But yeah, I like being 64. I don't know why. I like my wrinkles. I feel like they're my war wounds. It's proof that hey, I might have some wisdom. But anyway, thanks so much. That was very sweet. Australia. I'm Australian too. That's where my kids were born and raised. I only came back to Canada because my mother was elderly and not well. And I'm the only daughter. It's just different with daughters, right? So we're the ones who call every day. How you doing? What can I do? And plus they're more you're more apt to say to your daughter, can you come over and help me get dressed? You're less likely to say that to a son. So yeah, that's why I came back to Canada. Otherwise I never would have left Australia. Lisa, 4-year-old boy who says, I hate you, poop, bum, etc. Yeah, they say poopy face a lot too. I don't know where they all seem to say that one. I hate you. And that when he's mad, just ignore it. Say whatever. So he's only saying that because he's mad. If they say it when he's all happy, then I might go, wait a minute, but when he's mad, just go whatever, and then walk away and do your chores, like as if it doesn't mean anything to you. It's manipulative. He's trying to get under your skin. They only really do that when they would never talk like that if they respect you. So yeah, you got to work on your respect. And part of that is not being pulled in, not being manipulated by all this stuff, right? Like when a kid says, "Oh, everybody hates me," whatever, alrighty then. If they're mad, they'll just say anything to pull you into the conversation. They'll do anything to pull you into the argument. That's pulling you into the low road. I just stay on the high road, calm. I don't get involved in that low road stuff. Let them process that all by themselves. If you interfere and try and control another person's emotions, like they call it regulating their emotions, which is absolute crap. You can't regulate someone else's emotions. The sooner they learn how to do it themselves, the better. If you're always going in to save the day and regulate their emotions, you're a pleaser parent and you're raising self-entitled snowflakes with mental health issues. They'll never learn how to regulate their own emotions. So yeah, don't do that. You're not doing them any favor. You're raising weak people. You want to raise strong people. Let them process all that stuff. I don't get involved in that. If they're mad, that's none of my business. Sorry, I'm scrolling ahead to make sure you're still here. Okay, what can I suggest to my husband? I'm working with his relationship with his 11-year-old son who has a terrible attitude with him and is disrespectful. Just tell him to look at some of my videos. Tell him to look at the pool story. That's the best video that I have out there. I actually have the same story on steroids that I only tell during coaching. It's with teenagers. It's exactly the same thing as the pool story. It's just next level. But it's the same thing. You deal with bad behavior, then you focus on the good kid. Okay, so just tell him to look up the pool story. If you go on YouTube, look up BratBusters pool story. And if that resonates with him, then he might look up some other videos. So, yeah. Men are fixers. I understand men. I didn't understand men until I raised one. I remember once my son said to me, he was in his 20s, I think, and he said, and he wasn't taught, he was very chatty, but when he was about 15, 16, he started turning into a man. And I said, "What's with you? You're not giggling and laughing as much." He goes, "Mom, I'm not your girlfriend anymore." I remember I was devastated. I'm not your girlfriend anymore, because he was chatty and funny and goofy and jovial. But then, of course, hormones kicked in. He grew up. He was 6 feet tall. He said, "I'm not your girlfriend anymore." Wow, that cut me to the core. Anyway, I kind of laughed it off. But anyway, but he said to me once, I said, he was quiet. And I said, which even was kind of unusual for him. So I said, "What are you thinking?" And he said, "Nothing." And I said, "No, really, what are you thinking?" And he looked at me like right in my eye and he said, "Mom, when a man says to you, 'I'm thinking nothing,' we're not lying." He says, "We have the ability to think about nothing." And he says, "I know you women can't. You can't turn it off." He says, "But truly, we're different. We're not women. We can turn off the thought process." I thought, wow. So anyway, but I learned a lot through raising a man. It was quite fascinating, actually. Another funny story was my daughter and my son-in-law. We were all walking down the street one day. So my daughter and I were talking about some funny story that had happened. We're laughing and that. And he's listening. He's in on it. And so then, I don't know, 5 minutes goes by. We're talking about other stuff. Then we tell the same story again that we just told him. He stopped and he looked at us and he says, "You already talked about that." And we looked at him like he was nuts. He said, "Yeah, we're going to talk about it 50 more times too." Like, that's women. We rehash something over and over and over again. Whereas he thought, well, we've already discussed that. Why do you need to bring it up again? Just the difference. Anyway, where I'm going with this is, as dads, men, they're fixers. Men are fixers. If they can't fix something, they tend to get very frustrated. And it's almost like hiring a parenting coach to some men who feel like they're failing with their kids. It's almost like cutting their knacker off, like it disarms them. Well, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you're kind of kicking them in the jewels there. So it's a manlyhood thing. If they can't fix their family, if they can't fix their relationship on their own, they tend to not want someone else to try and fix it for them. But he has to let go of that ego, that pride, and just say, "You know what? I haven't worked with hundreds of kids like she has. Maybe she can help us out." A lot of fathers do hire me. And often it's the moms who don't want to hire me. They all get on board once we get working, but yeah, so. How do I grow a backbone? I was overly disciplined as a child, and now I have a hard time disciplining my 6-year-old. Okay, I teach leadership. You're talking about the old-fashioned authority style parent. I wonder if I deleted this because I wasn't huge on this. It was funny, so I wrote it down. Someone said something. Yeah, I think I got rid of it. Was like, oh, here it is. Someone said, she said, "I learned how to put my backbone where my wishbone is and stop trying to be my kid's bestie. And that was really cute. The only thing I kind of disagree with is I think I was my kid's friend, like we were really close, but I was always mom before I was anything else. So yeah, just keep watching. It'll make sense. Discipline is not mean. Discipline is love. Like this one teenager said to me, my parents didn't love me enough to make me a good person. Love your kids enough to make them good people. And part of that is teaching them right from wrong and following through with consequences. But you play with them a lot. It's more about connecting and having fun with them than anything. Without that, if you don't mix it up and don't discuss bad behavior, just say, oh, that was bad. Here's your consequence. When they calm down, say, you want to play a game? That's how quick it is. Look at the pool story. Go on YouTube and type in BratBusters pool story. Watch that. If you haven't seen it before, watch it. It explains all this. So discipline is love. I know how to get the best out of kids. I know how to make kids like themselves when they're with me. That's my superpower. I know how to do that, but I don't take any crap. I know how to make kids like themselves when they're with me. Because of that, how do you think they're going to treat me? Pretty darn good. But I don't take any crap. That's the pool story. Fear of pooping on the potty. Is that for you or your kids? Anyway, it's usually boys. Not always. It's usually boys because they got more equipment hanging out down there. I think that's why it is. I'm not sure. Anyway, here's the 3 reasons usually. I'm just generalizing, but I've worked with tons of kids. So usually there's 3 reasons why they don't like pooping on the potty. They've done it before and they got plop phobia. They got splashed. They didn't like that. Or they've done it before and it was hanging and they felt that tugging. They didn't like that. The third one might be cold. They're sitting there for a long time. It's freezing. They're bare bums in the air. They're cold. So those are the 3 reasons. So what you do is you get a little porta potty, put some toilet paper in it. So when they sit down, they can feel something on their bum. Plus when they start pooping, it hits the bottom before, it's not hanging. There's no splashback. And then hike up the heat in the bathroom, or you can just put a little a sleeping bag tent around them or something while they're going. And but hold your breath when you open that up later on. And you can just sit and play iPad games with them or something while they're sitting there. So you can give that a go. It's all covered in my potty training, which is in both my courses, if you want to check that out. It's on BratBusters.com. What are your thoughts on full-time working parents? My husband and I are both in the military and feel it'll be harder to earn respect with less time. Not necessarily. It is easier, I think, when you're home, but it can work both ways. If you're home and you're a pushover and they're walking all over you, that can even be worse. So yeah, most of my clients, I would say both work. So yeah, it's not that you do need time with your kids, but it's not the be all and end all. There you go. You can still get respect if you're not around as much as you'd like to be. Oh, shoot, I have to scroll ahead. There's so many questions. The reason I always scroll ahead is because I want to make sure you're still here when I answer your questions. Yeah, and thanks again for your support here on Instagram. I've been on here. I think we went on Instagram September of 2023. I think that's when we start. I mean, I've been on there forever, but I never was posting. But we started regular posting in September of 2023 and we hit 600,000 followers today. So wow, I'm blown away by that, especially because I'm older. I mean, I can't even relate to that. So thanks so much for that. I really appreciate that. And I hope I'm giving you, I'm here for you. I mean, everything I talk about is for you. It's not for me. I already know all this stuff. So I'm hoping that these lives really help too, or else I'll stop doing them. But because our podcast has really taken over, that's why I'm not doing as many lives. We do 2 podcasts a week now. My daughter and I do them together. And we film them all ahead of time. But often we have to we'll just both look at each other and go, yeah, that one didn't land. We just don't like some of them. So we don't even put them out there. So we put a lot of time into filming those podcasts. And then she puts a lot of time into editing. She does all the marketing and planning and all that stuff. So, and that's all on her. Okay, what to do when a 3-year-old never gives up the tantrum? She can go for hours and seem to get more aggravated when ignored. Yeah, just check out the course if you're interested. It goes into detail because sometimes if you're just focused on one thing, it's not going to work. It's kind of a big picture thing. So I'm suggesting maybe you need some other stuff to sort of balance out the ignoring the tantrums. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, because sometimes people say, well, I took your advice on this, but then the rest of the stuff's, how do I deal with it? If you're not, sometimes that one thing won't work if you haven't got the bigger picture stuff sort of happening too. So I don't know. You might want to check out the course if you're interested. Or you can just start with the behavior board. That's free. Courses aren't. Coaching isn't. The podcast is free. The behavior board's free. Lives are free. Videos are free. Okay. So I wanted to answer your question, but I'm not sure. It's Nyan Plum. I couldn't quite read what you meant there. Maybe you could retype it. Retype the whole thing, because otherwise I won't see it. Okay. Where can I learn about the behavior board? Go to BratBusters.com. It's all in the link wherever you are. You're on YouTube, Sue. I'm also on Instagram at the same time. Just go in the description. So I don't know. My daughter does all that stuff. It's BratBusters.com, and you'll see how to get the behavior board. You have to jump through a few hoops because it's against it's against the law to just take an email and start sending out a newsletter. You can't just do that. So as a business or as a company, so you have to get the permission, and so you have to jump through a few hoops to get it. But it's all free. I was never a fan of. I don't discuss that. I don't discuss other parenting methods. I discuss the old-fashioned authority and the newfangled pleaser parent. Anything that comes under those umbrellas, I don't know and I don't discuss. So those are the big picture things. I'm not under either of those. I'm the leader. I teach leadership. This is the best way I can explain leadership parenting. Let's say you have 3 different classrooms, and I know teaching is very different from parenting. It's just the example I use. So you have 3 different teacher styles. And the first one is a pleaser teacher. She wants everyone to be happy, and she doesn't like to see any sad faces. She wants the kids to sort of want to do what she says, and but anyway, it's a total disaster. The kids are difficult when she's there. They're difficult when she leaves. They're difficult constantly. They don't respect her at all. There's no leadership. The second one is the authority style teacher. They're good while the teacher's there because they respect. It's more of a fear-based way of getting respect. They respect the teacher when they're there, but when the teacher looks down or gets up and leaves the classroom, bedlam happens. As soon as the teacher comes back and yells, oh, and then they're right back. That's different. That's the old-fashioned authority style, okay? The leader, when you've got a good leader teacher, the kids are good when you're there, when you're not there, when you're looking down, no matter what, because they want to please you. You bring out the best in them. Leaders bring out the best in kids even when you're not with them. That's the difference, because you're increasing their self-esteem to such an extent that they wouldn't act out or be rude to anybody. So at any time, it's just the way they become. You can form this personality. Like my son was in grade 2, and his teacher asked him, "Why are you so nice?" And he says, "Mommy makes us be nice." Didn't matter where my kids were; they were nice. So that's what leaders do, and there's no fear in it at all. Believe me, I was in trouble way more than my kids were. Way more. Yeah, I'm a bit of a firecracker. I tend to say things and forget stuff. Well, I'm very reliable, but like I remember one particular time, I've said this story a million times, but anyway, I said to my kids, okay, tonight I'm going to make muffins. God, I hate cooking, but anyway, I made everything from scratch because I'm a health food nut. So I made everything from scratch because I could hide healthy stuff in there, right? But all my baked goods were not like you'd buy in a bakery. They were very low sugar and healthier. So anyway, I said, fine, I'll make muffins tonight. And they were excited about it. And I forgot because I hate cooking. So they went to bed and I just forgot. So the next day they say, Mom, you forgot last night to make muffins. I said, oh, sorry. Okay, sorry. Will you do it tonight, please? And I said, okay, I promise tonight I'll make muffins. And they said, so you promise? And I said, yes, like that, snotty. Yes, I promise. And they just said nothing. And they looked at each other and smiled. And then they walked away because they knew I was going to forget again. So the next morning they're in the kitchen together. They come in together. She's 3, he's 8. And she's his little sidekick. She's like this. And he's like this. Mom, remember last night you promised you're going to make muffins? I don't see no muffins. And I'm like, drats, what do you want? We'd love to go to the water slide park after school today. And I'd say, fine, I'll bring your suits. So they had a say. It was fun. I was accountable. I got in trouble all the time. They didn't. I did. It was stuff like that. Me, I loved it when my mom played with me. Yeah, absolutely. I remember people used to ask me, how do you get such good behavior out of these kids you're working? I was just a volunteer mentor with kids. I kind of mothered them and in schools and home, wherever I was working. They said, how do you get such respect? And yet you look like you're always laughing with them. And I said, my weapon is fun or humor with teenagers. So I'm either fun with kids or I'm funny with teenagers. And it's about connecting, having fun, levity, joy. A 3-year-old using bad behavior on purpose. What to do? I don't know what you mean by that. I have no idea what you mean by that. Check out the behavior board. It's completely free. Might be a good place to start if you're struggling. Do you think you'll ever write a book? 2025, I've been approached by a lot of publishing houses, and we're going to commit to writing a book in 2025. What happened was the podcast started taking off. Sorry, got a little kid out in the hallway. And the podcast started taking off. So it's taken over a lot. We hit last week, I don't know where, it goes up and down all the time, evidently. My daughter knows about this stuff. She does all that. And she said we hit, across North America, we hit in parenting, our podcast hit number 3 in parenting on all the, or on Spotify, I think it was, or Apple, I can't remember what. But wow, like we didn't expect that. We've only been doing it now for about 3 months, the podcast. And it's kind of taken over. So whether or not we can write a book this year, because I know when we put a book out, it's going to be, it's going to be my legacy. So we got to really put a lot into it. Have we got the time this year? Time will tell. We don't know. I still do a lot of coaching. And I keep saying I'm going to quit coaching because it takes up so much time. But it's my favorite thing to do. So, yeah. But yeah, the podcast is sort of taken over. A book, nice. My friends and I are both complaining there isn't any good parenting books. Yeah, I don't know what's out there. I've never read one. I don't know. But, we got the podcast. We got the videos. I do these lives. So we got a lot of free stuff out there. And, and then you can hire me and all that too. But, yeah, there's lots of stuff out there. The podcast. My daughter is very private. And it's just her way. I'm not at all. And, I just throw myself out there. And she's private. But she said, if we're going to do a podcast, it was her idea to start it. She goes, if we're going to do a podcast, she says, somebody has to ask you the questions. She goes, it's going to have to be me because she does all the vetting of all the questions too. So she's doing it with me. I'm shocked. She hates being in front of the camera, but she's doing it. So yippee. Are you ever in Columbia, South Carolina? No, I don't really travel much. I work 7 days a week. So I'm gonna get where I really want to go is I love Manhattan. It's like my favorite city ever. The bigger the city, the crazier the city, the better. As long as it's safe. I felt very safe in Manhattan. I went there for my 50th birthday. That was 14 years ago. So I absolutely loved it. I'd love to go back there and stay there for a month or so. I can work, online. But I'd love to go to Austin, Texas. I think it's evidently really into health, and I'm really into health and fitness. So I figure that might be in line with my lifestyle the most. And in New York, my daughter and I went there together. We lost 5 pounds we were there for 1 week, I think, lost 5 pounds because we were walking 8 hours a day. And we just kept eating and eating and walking and eating and eating. And, but we couldn't keep up the energy. We had to keep trying to eat more. Okay. Don't ask me about other parenting methods. I won't comment on them. I don't critique other parenting methods. Okay, I'm in Austin, Texas. You'd love it. Yeah. I've actually got some clients there. They've invited me to stay with them. I wouldn't take them up on it, but I appreciate it. But anyway, yeah, I'd love to go there. If I go there, I would definitely be visiting some of my clients. Would you ever be open to coaching a school staff? No, I don't teach teaching. I know nothing about it. I have the utmost respect for teachers. A huge portion of my clients are teachers, principals, child psychologists. I couldn't do their jobs, and they also struggle with parenting. They're very different. A lot of stuff doesn't cross over. One is personal. The other one is business. They're very different. So I only teach when I'm really confident that I know a lot about, and teaching I know nothing about, never taught. Yeah. But I know a lot of my clients who are principals, they've implemented some of this stuff, but they know what would work, right? So yeah, some of it does work there. But oops, I got to get going. Yeah, I got to run. I'm going to go over to TikTok and spend about 20 minutes over there, and then I got to go. So thanks so much for joining me. We hit 600,000 today on TikTok, on Instagram. And thanks so much for joining me, and we'll talk again soon. So check out BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board, my courses, my coaching, and look into our podcast. Thanks for joining me. Bye now. I'm hopping over to TikTok, and I'm on YouTube the whole time. TikTok always starts. Oh, I hit 820 today on TikTok. TikTok and Instagram have gone really crazy in the last couple of weeks. They'll often just, Instagram kind of slow but steady, but TikTok's nothing, and then it goes fast with followers. They're all different. They all operate differently. Okay, so I'm just waiting for people to turn up on TikTok. I was going to answer that question, but I don't quite understand it. It's from Laura on YouTube. I don't quite know what you mean. There's sort of two different kind of questions in there. I'm not sure what you mean. What about in the context of homeschooling? It's from Miriam. Oh, homeschooling. Oh, good. Very good question. I didn't mention that when I answered your question. You might not be here, but I'm going to answer it anyway. Miriam asked, could you talk more in detail about why you don't reward good behavior? I already said that's my baseline. It would be like your husband saying, you've been really good today. I'm going to give you a gold star. It's patronizing. It implies that you're normally rotten. Then Miriam said, what about in the context of homeschooling? Schooling is different. Yes, you can do reward, but it's more of an accomplishment reward kind of system. In school, it's different. It's measurable. It's just different. So yeah, it's like you grade them, A's, B's, and C's. I don't grade my kids from a parenting perspective. School and learning are different. Okay. So if you're homeschooling, you have your teacher hat on. So you can use a reward chart. Reward charts work beautifully in school. It's different. It's not personal. I'm hoping to get pregnant in the next year, and I'm watching your videos to prepare. I don't talk a lot about babies. That's almost more medical than anything. And I always said when my babies cried, I picked them up. And then I had a friend who said to me, you're going to spoil them by picking them up. And I go, spoil a baby with love? Get lost. I just love them up. That's all. The only times I ever yelled at my kids, and it happened once and they were babies, it's when they bit me during breastfeeding. And I wasn't yelling at them. I literally screamed when that happened. And poor kids, they're just trying to feed and they get some teeth in there. It's when they get the top and the bottom teeth and they bite. Woo! I don't think my daughter drew blood, but my son did. And I screamed. It's the only time I've ever yelled at my kids, but it was more of a pain scream. But yeah, scared the bejeebies out of them. I meant for preparing for parenting in general. Yeah, it's more once they're up on their feet and they're toddlers and they're getting into stuff. That's when my work sort of kicks in. Oh, I haven't introduced myself yet. If you're new, welcome. If not, welcome back. My name is Lisa. I'm a mom. I'm a grandmother. I'm also a parenting coach, and that's why you're here. You can check out the link above, or you can check out BratBusters.com. You can see my free behavior board, my courses, my coaching, and you can look into the podcast. My daughter and I do that together because we work together. She's in charge of all the marketing and planning, and she kind of tells me what to do. She's the more disciplined, hardworking of the two of us, for sure. I'm always in trouble. Did you get that done yet, Mom? Oh, I forgot. So yeah, it's a very good partnership. We're very different. We have our own roles. I don't know what she does. Okay. And I'm not just answering questions when I come on here. I like to throw in a bunch of anecdotes to drive, because all the questions are about discipline. And it's not what I'm about at all. I'm about connecting with your kids and making them feel good about themselves. The discipline is just a small part of what I teach. So that's why I keep going off on tangents, because I want you to get the big picture. The big picture is I want you to have fun and enjoy your children. Not be You're not always correct. You're not always focused on what you don't want them to do. Focus more on what you do want them to do. Bring out the best in them. Bring out the laughter, the fun in the household. You'll get a lot better results by being fun than you will by disciplining all the time. But I don't let anything go. You'll start to understand when you've been watching me for a while. I did have a client, I think it was yesterday. She goes, Lisa, do a podcast on how to be, I'm trying to get rid of this. Do a podcast on how to be fun and goofy with kids, because I'm very goofy with kids. I'm very goofy with adults too, but only in my inner circle. Otherwise, it's just too embarrassing. So it's just my personality to be goofy. But I had a whole bunch of tricks that I got attention from kids, like little kids, and I was working with them. And if they were acting out, I'll tell you something, those little pencil holders up your nose, there's nothing like that to get attention. Once I've got their attention, more with toddlers, stuff like that, then I can hold it. But you got to get it first. And you have to enter their world. The best way to get results with kids is by entering their world. Speak their language. Especially little kids, their language is more actions than anything else. And all of our language when it comes to bad behavior is consequences, not lecture. Don't lecture your kids. Don't go into all these big lectures about what they did wrong and why they shouldn't do it and how it made you feel. And oh God, it's agony. Who wants to be lectured? Boring. They're not listening to you anyway. They're just saying whatever you want them, whatever they think you want to hear, just to get rid of you. It's not making any difference. We all learn through consequences. You don't pay your taxes because someone lectured you. You pay your taxes because you might go to jail if you don't, right? It's all consequences are what make the world go round, being accountable. So teach your kids this. You're going to set them up for life. Oh God. Sorry. Sorry to laugh. It's from Mary. I can't figure that out. 14-year-old, so I'm just laughing and I'll tell you why in a minute. 14-year-old twin sons had an argument, escalated and almost got physical. Is that normal? I was so nervous. No, that's not normal. What's normal is when they do get physical. 14, 15-year-old boys, their testosterone's kicking in, especially when they've just turned 15, right around that age. Their testosterone's kicking in. They don't know what to do with it yet. And if anything irks them, especially with a twin, like a peer, yeah, they might have a go at each other. Completely normal. Completely normal. What do you do with a lying teenage boy? Use the behavior board, call it the rules, family rules or something, and say no lying. When you catch him in a lie, there's a consequence. You're on there too. You say to him, that's what I want from you. That's your rule. What do you want from me? What do you want my rule to be? Negotiate with a teenager. They're my favorite age by far. Because little kids, there's no challenge for me, but the teenagers, I have to think for a minute. So plus they're my favorite age. I love teenagers. These are my top 5 tips for parenting teenagers. Number 1 is listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with, or they will shut you out. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it. And by the way, they already know it. Number 2 is you negotiate as much as possible. Like I just suggested, what do you want my rule to be? It goes something like this. Hey, I want your dirty clothes in the hamper. What do you want from me? Let's start the negotiations. Number 3, don't sweat the small stuff with teenagers. If they do something stupid, it's not a big deal. Just say, well, that was stupid. Do you want to hear what I did when I was your age? And laugh it off. It's okay to make mistakes, just like you did, just like you do. Okay? It's okay to do that. Number 4, don't leverage the good times to discuss the bad times. Every so often, a coaching client will slip through with this one, because I always say, once I teach you how to get along with your teenager and go out and have fun with them and get coffee or whatever you do, because sometimes they're not even speaking, and I say, do not discuss the bad times or what they've done to disappoint you. Sure enough, every once in a while, one will slip through and do it. And I say, and then they can't figure out why their teenager gave them the finger and left. They can't put the pieces together. Like, don't leverage the good times to discuss the bad times. Then the parent will say to me, well, when do I discuss the last 2 years that they've made my life a living hell? And I say, never. Your revenge is when they have their own teenagers and you can sit back and watch the show. That's your revenge. In the meantime, you can't do it. Number 5, you can be a right fighter with teenagers, or you can be happy. You can't be both. You can be a right fighter, or you can be happy. When you're arguing with a teenager, big mistake to argue with a teenager, or anybody really. When you're arguing with a teenager, they know you're right. They're going to fight you anyway. So what's the point? You can be a right fighter and keep fighting, or you can be happy with a teenager. That can be said for any relationship anyway. Like a right fighter or happy. I say my point, but if they're not willing to hear it, if I know I'm right, I will say my point, but I don't go on about it. I just go, okay, yeah. They know I just won because I stopped fighting. See what I mean? They can't pull me in. Them winning is pulling you in. That is them winning because you look weak when you do that. Anyway, that's my top 5 tips for parenting teenagers. My least favorite age is toddlers because they're safety hazards. They're all feet, no brains. They were fine at home. I had my whole house child-proofed. But whenever I took them out, I couldn't take my eyes off them. I was terrified they'd walk in front of a bus or something. So it's more of a safety stress kind of thing. It was my least favorite age. Not at home, though. I thought they were cute as a button. Okay. 3-year-old boy laughing at me when I ask him to stop and is being very aggressive. Yeah, check out the behavior board. Start there. Just start with 1 rule or battle per week, okay? And you're learning, the behavior board is just a teaching tool. You're learning how to start being a leader just by using that 1 rule per week. All the other stuff he's doing wrong, just do whatever you were doing before. But just focus on mastering that 1 behavior board. Then the second week, you got another behavior board. Now you've got 2 rules that you're focused on. You're on there too, by the way. So yeah, so start with that. How do you feel about PCIT? I don't know what it is. I'll look it up. I think that's that one thing I keep being asked about, and I keep saying, oh, right. I'm not a doctor or anything. I don't discuss that stuff. I teach parents connecting with kids and raising good kids, happy kids. That's all I do. But a lot of my clients, I've worked with a lot of disabled children, abused children. I do specialize in crisis work. So a lot of kids have a lot of challenges and have been through a lot. But I'm still focused on just parenting. So I teach parents how to get through this stuff. Okay, is it okay to let a 14-year-old have girlfriends? What should be the boundaries? You'd have to hire me for that. I need to ask a lot of questions. And what's his girlfriend like? Are they sexually active? Do you know if they're sexually active? Do you talk to him about sex? Do you know if she's had sex before with someone else? Do you know the parents? Make sure I'd have her over as much as possible. Get to know her. You can't control who they're friends with or who they're seeing, but you can what is that saying? Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. Not that they're an enemy, but you want to get to know her really well. And if he has any doubts about her, and if you tell him to stay away from her, he'll get even closer. If he has any doubts about her and you're raving about her and having her over all the time, he'll dump her like a hot potato. So yeah, just get to know her and talk to him about everything, sex, everything. Talk to him about everything. I can't tell this here because I just can't. There might be kids listening, but I've got a really funny story. I tell a lot of raunchy stories about teenagers. It was a really funny one. I can't tell it here. Anyway, yeah, I'll talk to teenagers about anything. As uncomfortable as I am, believe me, it's not comfortable, and I don't even try and hide the fact that I'm humiliated, but I say it anyway. So yeah, talk openly. And don't tell them what to do. You're not listening to gather information to lecture with. You're listening to show empathy and understanding. Okay? If he wants your advice, he'll ask for it. And even then, don't give it. Just say, well, what do you think? Get him to problem solve. You can't stop. If teenagers are going to be sexually active, you can't stop them anyway. A lot of parents are terrified of this, so they ground their kids. Oh, we don't let them out at night. We don't. Do you know how many kids I've known who have done the deed in the bleachers at school, and they have lookouts watching for someone coming down the hall, and they have signals that they'll text them or whatever. So yeah, they're going to do it if they're going to do it. So you can't prevent it. But the best prevention is you discussing it with them. They're less likely to jump into irresponsible behavior or actions if they have an open relationship discussing everything with you. Yeah, I can't go on about that enough. Teenagers are my specialty, but I don't discuss I can't discuss the nitty-gritty details here because there could be kids watching. But yeah, the stuff that I've heard that teenagers do never surprises me. I can't even tell you. I can't tell you about that. Never mind. I was going to say, if you have teenagers, you might want to check something out, but I can't tell you. Something I talked about once, but I can't even say that because in case the kids go there. Yeah, I can't talk about that stuff here because I do get kids watching. I know some of my clients say their kids watch me. So lying teenagers, just put no lying. You can put that down as your rule too. So I'll pick you up at 8. If you're there at 8:01, that's a lie. And make sure you do mess up so they show you that you're showing them respect. So yeah, you can put it down for yourself too. No lying for me too, for both of us. How do you respond when a 2-year-old says they don't want to listen to you? Well, you must be asking them, you must be begging them for them to say that. It's a bit of a tell. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. You might want to check out the behavior board for 2-year-olds, like under 3. There's no behavior board, but the behavior board, it's in the behavior board. There's a toddler section. The behavior board starts at 3. If they say they're not listening to you, that means that you're not a leader. Yeah, a 2-year-old wouldn't say that to a leader because you wouldn't care if they said that. They're only saying that because it bothers you, whereas I would never show that it bothers me. And I take action. If I said, okay, we're going to go to bed, I'm not listening to you, I take action. I pick them up, brush their teeth, get them in the bath. I follow through with what needs to be done. Okay, we're going out the door. I'm not listening to you. I go get them, pick them up under my arm, out the door we go. So I don't say anything twice. I let them know when we're going out, what we're doing, what has to be done. If they don't do it, then I make it happen. I follow it up with actions. You got to mean what you say and say what you mean. You got to follow it up. So no anger, just make it. And then they don't fight you because they realize that, like my kids knew when I said so. I remember this was funny. I remember they both tried this once when they were little. They were 5 years apart, but they both did it. And my husband at the time was bathing one of them, or both of them, whatever. And one of them said, "I want mom." And they were just being, a little bit poopy. And I yelled out from the other room, "Well, you're stuck with dad, so deal with it." Never heard another peep out of them. And then they said it again another time. And then he said, "Well, you're stuck with me, so deal with it." I don't put up with any of that crap, any whining or anything. Like, he was a good dad. You'll survive just because mom's not there. I say, "I won't listen to you either." Is that a bad response? Yeah, because you're validating it. Yeah, it's okay if it works. Maybe it's like spanking and yelling. It might work, but I wouldn't say it. I just wouldn't, because that would mean you've just listened to it. I wouldn't acknowledge it. Yeah, it can work, but if it's working for you, you can keep doing it. It's just weaker. I wouldn't do it, but it's not wrong. Just I wouldn't do it. It's not quite as strong as I would like to lead with. Okay. Oops. I got to get going, actually. Thanks so much for joining me. My name's Lisa. I'm a mom. What else am I? Oh, yeah. I'm a grandmother, parenting coach. Go to BratBusters.com. You can see my free behavior board, my courses, my coaching, and you can look into the podcast too. My daughter and I do that together twice a week. Tuesdays and Thursdays, we release a new podcast twice a week. So thanks. And we also take your questions for that podcast. I never know what we're going to be talking about because I don't work very well. I don't like to plan anything out. I just don't work that way. So I never know what we're going to be talking about. And I'll always have a strong opinion. If I hate something, I'll often say, "Oh, I hate talking about that." She knows exactly what I love talking about. But some stuff has to be talked about, and I just don't like discussing it. I don't like talking about kids screaming. I just find it boring. But that one we had to talk about once. Where can I find the podcast? It's on all the platforms. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. So, and you'll see a picture of my daughter and I because we do it together. So anyway, I'm the pretty young one. No, she's gorgeous. She's got blonde hair. She has straight blonde hair and I have dark curly hair. When she came out when she was crowning, you know what I'm talking about, the doctor said, "Oh my, I've never seen this before." And I knew we wouldn't have said that if it was something dangerous, but she was just crowning. And then when she came out, she had a blonde afro, a tight little afro. And now it's straight. But when she was a newborn for about the first 3 weeks, she had a tight blonde, tons of hair, a blonde afro. It where she got that from. Anyway, you don't really want to hear that from a doctor. Ooh, never seen that before. Anyway, I got to get going. I don't know why I tangent off into that one. So all my lives are saved on YouTube if you're interested in seeing them again for some reason. If not, don't bother. So happy parenting. Good night.